So, hi, I'm Annmarie. I'm from Coast One Mortgage. I've been in the mortgage business for 18 years now. I started off in New York and have been doing it down here in Florida for about 7 years. So a little bit about what's going on with the mortgage industry now is luckily down here in South Florida, we're not seeing a huge change in slowing of anything. Every people are still buying. A lot of people are moving down here. We're still seeing a lot of people buying investment properties. Um, Rates aren't desirable or as desirable as they have been in the past. However, they're not as bad as they have been either. But what we're seeing is because of the market shift a little bit, less people are going into bidding wars, as I'm sure you guys see.
Right.
And because of that, they're not paying overpaying for the houses. So they're actually not paying much more, even with the higher interest rates, than they would be if they were overpaying for the house by 50 or 60,000.
That's
So
true.
that's something that's kind of helping out on our end. A great product we have right now is called the rate rollback. And what it is if the rates or when rates come down in the next year or year and a half, we're doing refinances for free. We're not charging any bank fees on the refinances.
Wow,
So
that's nice.
yes, that's something that kind of takes away the people who say, "Oh, I'll just wait until rates come down." They do still pay title fees and whatever, the government charges and that kind of stuff, but we're waiving all our bank fees. So that's something that kind of helps combat those people who decide that they want to wait on the rates.
That's a great offer.
It is.
Yeah. And we thank Marie for joining us today. We are The Porch. I am Linda Hollington, and these are my
I'm Sherry Darmanine.
I'm Sylvia Four.
We're all from Caldwell Banker, and we're very interested in all that's going on with the financing because it has so much influence on our business as to how we can help our folks buy their houses.
Mhm.
And I mentioned that I was real interested in this smart edge that you have for the borrowers that they're unable to secure the traditional landing credit on there. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I
Yes.
think the max loan is $2 million. That's pretty good.
Yes. So we have three products that we've rolled out that allow our buyers, non-traditional buyers, kind of a little more leniency in different products that may fit them better. The Smart Edge, Smart Self, and Smart Vest. Now, the Smart Edge has a loan amount up to $2 million, and they only need to put down 20% on a primary or second property. It's nice on this because we can go up to a 50% debt to income ratio. And we could either use their pay stubs, their W-2s, any of that regular banking information for income. But the nice thing about this is they could have things on their credit that are not so nice, going back as far as 4 years and even up to 2 years. So if they have missed payments, if they've had missed mortgage payments in the past, anything like that, we can kind of work with them a little bit more than we normally could. Minimum credit score is a 660. And they could have up to 15 other properties that they have financed already. So it's a little bit nice. It kind of gives people that may not fit into Fannie or Freddie's radar a little more leniency, especially on that debt to income ratio going as high as 50%.
You guys have any other questions about what you're trying? The first time borrowers, first of all, are still having a hard time finding properties and a hard time locking in on a mortgage rate. What would you advise them to do?
So as far as finding properties, that's where the realtors are the geniuses there.
Right. Yeah.
That you guys get to work your magic on that. As far as locking in rates, people can lock in a rate before they've even found a property. they can do a to be determined property and lock in their rates now. And that's something that's up to buyer themselves. Some people prefer to lock in the rate from when they first start shopping, and some people like to kind of roll the dice and gamble a little bit and see if rates come down before they close. You can lock in your rate, up to a couple days before closing if you wanted to. It's just a matter of comfort and how much you like to gamble. We have something called lock and shop, where they can lock in their rate while they're still shopping for their property.
Yeah, do you go by property, by person, or do you have a feel for which is better or do you recommend anything? I know we don't, we stay out of the financing as far as that goes, unless, you really see that they're maybe not making a wise choice, but even then we don't usually guide them as much as get them to someone like you who can tell them,
Right.
no, that's a bad idea,
It's totally a comfort thing. I am a little bit more of a gambler. We all have heard that rates are expected to come down a little bit at the beginning of next year. So being that we're already mid-December, I tend to tell people it may be best to wait, but it's totally up to them. I don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what rates are going to do. And if someone's comfortable with their rate, then, by all means, lock it in. You also got to keep in mind, in most instances, the longer the lock, the more expensive it is.
Oh, that's true.
So you may get a little bit better of a rate by having a shorter lock.
Right.
And what
The
we're
sta-
seeing
Go ahead.
what we're seeing in Central Florida is not so much locking in rates as more shopping, but things have changed a little bit more here than I believe that it has for South Florida. We have had changes here.
Yes.
People making decisions to buy. I have people that have been looking for a couple of years and they haven't made a decision yet. A lot of it's based on borrowing money and not borrowing money, just
Right.
the price of the homes.
And the other thing to keep in mind is I'm seeing a lot of people buying down their rate. Where some of the people who are selling, instead of lowering their selling price from, let's say, $250 to $240, they're giving a $10,000 rebate or closing credit to the buyer, and the buyer can use that to buy down their rate.
Yes.
And that's something that really does help, bring those rates down a little bit, making those houses a little more affordable for the people who are buying, and maybe opening the door to more buyers who maybe don't have the cash for closing costs.
And I know everything isn't on the MLS, but I know just looking at some of the expires, I see an awful lot of investors that are selling. You may not be seeing that in South Florida, but I know I'm seeing it here, because before even reaching out to them, I always research to see, what the background is. And that includes even some of the realtors are selling there. So,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to ask all the questions. You guys chime right in.
I'm interested in the refinance piece of it. For the folks that get on board with this program and maybe a year from now or less want to refinance and get a lower rate. How did you say that worked with no fees?
So there's no bank fees. They're still going to pay their title fees. They're still going to pay their state and government fees, all of that. But what we're doing is we're waiving all our lender fees. So that lender fee, whatever it is, ours are about normally $1,300 to $1,400. That's being waived.
Okay.
And so then when they come to refinance, they get their rate lower. Obviously, it's got to make sense for them to lower their rate enough where it makes sense for them, and get them into a better loan once rates do come down.
Okay. Okay. And is there a minimum or maximum involved in that refinance?
Minimum is $100,000,
Okay.
or it's got to be high or higher. As far as maximum, up to $2 or $3 million.
Right. Okay. But a minimum of 100.
Yes.
Okay.
How about you, Sylvia?
Well, Annmarie, I've been recently looking for some of my kids who haven't been able to get a home, and even some of them they want to get into investing. And they don't even own their own home at this point, but they want to get an gateway into it. And so I've been looking at multifamilies through FHA. It seems to me that that might be work out well. What are you seeing down there as far as, is this something that some of these kids, it doesn't seem that the institutional investors are interested in these multi-unit 1 to 4 unit. So I think they're kind of ripe for the picking. The people that own them are kind of tired. They're done. The taxes have gone up, and you know,
Yeah.
they're worth more now. So is this a sweet spot for you? Is that something that you think is a great tool?
I think it's something that's amazing. Because I don't think people are educated enough to know that you could get a multifamily home with an FHA loan, and you can buy a three or four family home, live in one of the units, and make all the income off of the other ones, and still only put down 3.5%. And I wish I knew that when I was a kid. I think, it's such a great way to start off with rental income and as a landlord. And then especially since you're still living, attached to the property and bringing in all that income. And
it's a bed of roses are easy. They've got to learn how to be a landlord. I mean, this is not a big life lesson, but it seems to me it might be a gateway for some of these kids who are struggling, and get them to talk to you. Do you find that, ladies?
Sherry? Yes, absolutely.
With the lender, sit down about your.
Well, I think we've about filled up our 5 minutes. So, Annmarie, we thank you so much for joining us. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to put your information in the comments.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to contact you, they can. And I hope that we can reschedule again.
Absolutely.
And you can come back and give us some more news.
That would be great.
Thank you, Annmarie.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Those
of you out there that are watching this video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and look for Annmarie's contact information. Have a good day from the porch. Bye.